And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single-family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Welcome to the show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, I'm working on your financial freedom. And on today's show, we're going to talk about the concept of maps. Yes, you heard me correctly. We're going to talk about maps. So why would I spend an entire hour talking about something that sounds very esoteric, something that doesn't seem to fit the dialogue? Because after all, this is a real estate investing radio show, right? So we're supposed to talk about real estate investing. We're supposed to talk about real estate. Why are we talking about maps? Here's why. A map is designed to help you understand the situation around you from a graphical representation. How'd you like that for a made-up definition, huh? Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what a map does, right? I mean, if you look at a map of the United States, what do you see? You see something that is shaped like the geographical features of the United States, right? You always see the contiguous 48 states connected together, and then off to the side, they have a picture of what looks like Alaska and a picture of what looks like Hawaii. That's what the map of the United States looks like. And if you zoom out and you take a look at a map of the world, you see a geographical representation of all of the major continents that encompass our planet. Now, similarly, you can zoom in. You can zoom in to a particular piece of real estate. And real estate itself is a part of maps. It is a part of maps. Now, think about it. If you use one of those online mapping programs, everybody uses those nowadays. Yeah, I don't care if you, I'm not even gonna mention the different brands that are out there because you already know who your go-to mapping software is, right? Okay, so you can zoom in to a particular house, and that particular house can give you information that comes from a map. It's pretty cool, right? Okay, so we're going to talk about maps today, but we're going to talk about them in a slightly different approach because the map that I really want to focus on is the map that you're following for retirement. I would suggest to you that the map that you're following is different than the map that I'm following. We have two completely different maps in front of us. We do. Your map gets you to a place of retirement in 30, 40, maybe 50 years. It has you saving up a big bag of money. You're going to take that bag of money, and when you retire, you're going to carefully live off of that money, hoping that you don't run out of that money before you die. That's the conventional map to retirement today. That's what your employer advised you to do. That's what society advised you to do. That's what people who are not retired themselves are advising you to do. Now me, I'm retired. And I'm going to advise you to follow a completely different map. I'm going to advise you to follow a map that can get you to a place of retirement in 5 years or less. Have you ever heard of a guy by the name of Stephen Covey? I know you've heard of Stephen Covey. As a matter of fact, Stephen Covey's been around for quite a while. He's one of those self-help kind of guys. And he wrote a book entitled The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read to you what Covey writes because it's very important in our discussion of maps. So let's get into what Covey says. The word paradigm comes from the Greek. It was originally a scientific term and is more commonly used today to mean a model, theory, perception, assumption, or frame of reference. In the more general sense, it's the way we see the world, not in terms of our visual sense of sight, but in terms of perceiving, understanding, and interpreting. For our purposes, a simple way to understand paradigm is to see them as maps. Okay, so now you've got the tie-in, right? Now you know where I'm going. Let me get back to Covey. We all know that the map is not the territory. A map is simply an explanation of certain aspects of the territory. That's exactly what a paradigm is. It is a theory, an explanation, or a model of something else. Does that make sense? Okay, back to Covey. Suppose you want to arrive at a specific location in central Chicago. A street map of the city would be a great help in you reaching your destination. But suppose you were given the wrong map. Through a printing error, the map labeled Chicago was actually a map of Detroit. Can you imagine the frustration? The ineffectiveness of trying to reach your destination? You might work on your behavior. You could try harder, be more diligent, double your speed, but your efforts would only succeed in getting you to the wrong place faster. You might work on your attitude. You could think more positively. You still wouldn't be in the right place, but perhaps you wouldn't care. Your attitude would be so positive, you'd be happy no matter where you were. The point is, you'd still be lost. The fundamental problem has nothing to do with your behavior or your attitude. It has everything to do with having the wrong map. If you have the right map of Chicago, then diligence becomes important. And when you encounter frustrating obstacles along the way, attitude can make a real difference. But the first and foremost important requirement is the accuracy of the map. Each of us has many, many maps in our head, which can be divided into two main categories. Maps of the way things are, or realities, and maps of the way things should be, or values. We interpret everything we experience through these mental maps. We seldom question their accuracy. We're usually even unaware that we have them. We simply assume that the way we see things is the way they really are or the way they should be. Now that comes out of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. It's actually on pages 23 and 24 in my copy of the book. I don't know what page they'd be on in your copy of the book. But what Covey is pointing out is that if you're following an inaccurate map, or if you're following a map that you believe to be accurate, but in reality it's got a flaw to it, you're going to get a flawed result. You're not going to get to where you're trying to get to. And that can be very, very frustrating. Imagine you being 70 years of age and getting ready to leave a job, take maximum Social Security benefits, and try and live off of your 401k. That's the map that you followed for your entire life. For 70 years, you were putting money into a 401k, you were relying on Social Security, and your game plan was work until the age of 70 so that you could max out the Social Security and then start tapping into the 401k. Chances are your employer doesn't want you working beyond the age of 70. Now, they can't come right out and say that, but you know it happens, and I know it happens too. So that is one map, and that, unfortunately, is a map that I think the majority of you listening to me are following. Now, if you're a Lifestyles Unlimited member, you're screaming at the radio right now going, yeah, Al, that's a terrible map. Don't follow that map. I followed that map. That map stunk. It was terrible. It didn't get me where it was supposed to go. And here's the fundamental problem. Who advises you on what map to follow? Who advises you? Well, people like, I don't know, your parents, your teachers, your guidance counselors, financial planners, stockbrokers. All of these people have input onto your map. All of these people are telling you that the road to retirement is clearly work, 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 trade time for money, work, 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 trade time for money, work, work, work. See where I'm going with this? Okay. My map and the map of the Lifestyles Unlimited members that are screaming at the radio is different. Our map is get it done in 5 years. And if you don't get it done in 5 years, readjust as necessary, then get it done as quickly thereafter. But the majority of us that follow the map that Del Walmsley put together for us achieve retirement in 5 years or less. I did it in 2 years. I'm not bragging. I am not bragging. As a matter of fact, I told you, and I've told you on this show many, many times, that my original plan for retirement was to do exactly what you're doing. Remember, I was focused on getting a pension, right? And I earned that pension, but that pension caused me to be in a situation in my life where I was no longer working. I was getting the pension, but the pension didn't pay me enough money to cover the expenses of my household. So what did I do? Well, I bled money. I burned through what little savings I had. And when that was gone, I did something very egregious. You would think it's egregious. See, I was following a Dave Ramsey mindset. I was trying to pay off anything and everything that I could pay off. I had 4 vehicles in my driveway, one for each of the drivers in my household. And I had the titles to those vehicles, which meant I had the ability to take the title down to my bank, get a loan against that title, and live off the proceeds of that loan, hoping that I would be able to get back into the workforce, even though I found that very difficult to do at the age of 50. One title after another, I took those titles to the bank. I got money for those titles. I supported my household the best that I could until I ran out of money after the 4th vehicle was liened. And you know what I was ready to do? Reach into my pocket and grab those little plastic things that are in there. You know, credit cards? See, the credit cards that I had also had a cash advance function to them. So I was getting ready to go ahead and take some money out on a cash advance on a credit card. And at that point, I landed a job. And I thought my life was going to be wonderful. It wasn't. When we come back from the break, more on me. Stick around.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
Want to continue the conversation inside the community? Follow Lifestyles Unlimited on Facebook. Stay up to date on upcoming events, market trends, member stories, featured podcasts, real estate wisdom, and more. You can even join us a couple times a month as we go live with our case study events right on Facebook from the comfort of your home. Get online and get in the know. Turn listening on the radio into participating in the community. Like and follow Lifestyles Unlimited on Facebook today.
Creating the lifestyle you've always wanted. You're hearing Lifestyles Unlimited's Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome back to the second half of the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, I'm working on your financial freedom. And on today's show, we're talking about maps, and we're talking about me. Yeah, you're getting a two-pronged approach to this episode because I want you to understand that the map that you're following to achieve retirement is filled with flaws. It's filled with flaws unless you're a Lifestyles Unlimited member, in which case you've got it all dialed in, keep doing what you're doing. But the majority of you listening to me are not Lifestyles Unlimited members. You're tuned in to find out if we can help you change the path of your life. Maybe some of you have realized that what you're doing for retirement, it isn't working. Now, I had that epiphany when I attempted to retire myself the first time in 2014. That's when I left the United States Army, and I figured, it couldn't be that hard to retire, right? I'll be retired, I'll get a pension, that money will come in, and then I realized that money that came in on the pension wasn't enough money for me to, operate my household unless I wanted to make some radical changes to my household. So I realized, like most other military members, I had to get back into the workforce. So I did that. I tried. I was age 50, and it was difficult for me to get back into the workforce. And I kept applying for job after job after job after job, and I was not getting any hits. So in the meantime, I used the available equity in vehicles that I owned, and I took out loans on those vehicles in order to support my household while I was trying to find employment. Once I ran out of loans, in other words, I ran out of titles that I could take down to my bank and get money for, I turned to my credit cards in my wallet. And as I was getting ready to take out the first cash advance, because that's how desperate I had become, I had finally landed a job. But here's the problem. That job, it didn't pay me the income that I felt I was worth. It didn't pay me what I used to make or more than what I used to make when I was in the military. It paid me a whole lot less. But the amount that it paid me was enough to stop the bleeding financially in my household that was caused by me attempting to retire the first time. So what am I telling you? I'm telling you that the first time I tried to retire, I failed. I totally failed. It was terrible. It was a miserable time in my life. I mean, you want to talk about feeling like a failure? That was me. Feeling like a failure. Feeling like I couldn't support my household. Something that I had done my entire life, support my household. Now I'm in a situation at the age of 50 and I'm losing it. I'm losing it. And it was difficult for me. Here's the other thing that happened to me. I became sick. Yeah, one of the things that happens to military members when they leave the military, it's like all of a sudden your body breaks down. I don't know why it is. We could probably do an entire show on that, but I don't want to. I became sick. I came down with cancer. I got not one, but two different kinds of cancer. Now, the reason I'm telling you about the cancer is not because I want you to feel sorry for me. I'm telling you about the cancer because I want you to understand how difficult my life was the first time I attempted to retire. I was failing, and I was failing big. And then when I finally found the job that I needed to stop the financial bleeding, I felt that I had just taken a job and this was all there was that wasn't going to get any better than this. And at least this new job came with a pension component to it. So the new retirement plan became, I'll just work 20 years in this job. I'll build up that pension account. And then at the age of 70, I'll retire myself and I'll live off that big bag of money, but at least I'll get my maximum Social Security benefit out of it. That was my retirement game plan, and it was terrible. It was terrible. Fast forward to 2017. I'm listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio show on the radio, kind of like you're doing right now. It was a different person hosting the show, obviously, but that person was communicating to me ideas and concepts that nobody else was communicating to me. Nobody else was reaching me. Nobody was connecting with the craziness that was in my life. Yeah, even though I had taken that alternate retirement plan and I was committed to doing it, still, I was looking for a different way. If I could find a way to retire myself sooner than 20 years, man, I was all for that. And this radio show, this Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio show, was giving me the nuggets that I needed. They were talking about a map that I needed to follow that would get me to retirement success in 5 years or less. And when I did the math in my head, I said, let's see, 5 is less than 20, so that might be a better way to go. Yeah, sometimes I got to do that. Yeah, it's me. So I took notice. And I checked out a Lifestyles Unlimited free workshop. And in that free workshop, they talked about some things that were very, very interesting to me. They talked about changing my mindset, converting it from the mindset that I had, which was work to retirement, to a new mindset, which was invest to retirement. Two completely different concepts, two completely different maps to follow. So I decided to become a member of Lifestyles Unlimited, because once I realized that the map that they were providing me was the map to success, I would be a fool not to follow that map. So I became a member of Lifestyles Unlimited, and before I could invest in any real estate, I had to work on changing my mindset, and I had to educate myself on the fundamental concepts of investing in real estate. and I became a member, and I learned. I spent 16 hours with a guy by the name of David Fisher. David Fisher is a Lifestyles Unlimited member. He's been a member since 2008. As a matter of fact, he was one of the first members to join Lifestyles Unlimited back when Lifestyles Unlimited expanded out of Houston and went into the San Antonio, Texas market. But here's the thing. He became a member, and he started with $70,000 to his name in 2008. You know where he got the money from? He was living in a house that was worth about $100,000. He had paid the loan off. He got that $70,000 by refinancing his home. Yeah, he took a free and clear home and he put a mortgage on it. And he used that money, that $70,000 that he pulled out of his home, to start buying real estate assets. And his current net worth has him north of $9 million. Do you think that's a result that you might be interested in? The point is, the map that you're following is flawed. It is flawed. I don't care how much money you have to make to sustain your household today. You can make that money in real estate. Now, it won't happen overnight. It does not happen overnight. This real estate investing thing is not an instant gratification kind of thing. It takes time to build up the resources to get your economic engine running. And then when you get your engine running, it starts running more efficiently over time. All the people that I bring on to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show as my guests, all of them are either in one of two places. They're either retired or they're on their way to retirement. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed I mix up the guests? You get people, well, for example, I'm going to have Mike on Thursday or next Tuesday's show. I thought I had Mike scheduled for Thursday, but I've got him scheduled for next Tuesday's show. Mike is one of these guys that was following an improper roadmap. He was doing everything that everybody at the workplace told him to do, but he realized that at a certain point, he was not making a dent in his retirement. As a matter of fact, what he started to realize was that if he really wanted to enjoy his retirement, he may not have had enough money saved up to do the things that he wanted to do in retirement. So he had a problem. So on Tuesday's show, he's going to talk to you about how he fixed that problem. He's going to talk to you about how he used a different map. See, Mike is one of these guys that came to Lifestyles Unlimited, even though he was a corporate engineer, he was making good money, he had a great 401k, he too, like me, had a retirement problem. Now, his retirement problem was not as pronounced as mine, but nonetheless, that problem existed. Mike started following the Lifestyles Unlimited map, the map that gets you from where you're at to where you're trying to get to, the map that teaches you how to utilize single-family assets. Okay, maybe a single-family asset only pays you $400 a month in cash flow. How many do you need in order to replace your income? Now, that's actually a trick question, because remember, I just made the comment a little bit ago that there are people that maybe need $15,000 a month to support their household. There are people like that out there in America. I know people like that are working real hard and making that kind of money. But here's the thing. You don't need to make $15,000 a month to replace $15,000 a month in salary. Why is that? Well, it has to do with taxes and other payments that you make when you earn your money. Let me break it down for you. When you go to work, you earn a salary. Before your employer actually deposits any of that salary money into your bank account, what do? They take out taxes and they take out other allotments. Maybe it's a 401k payment, right? Maybe you're putting a lot of money into that 401k payment. Maybe you're getting matching funds. I don't know. But at the end of the day, you don't need $15,000. And here's why. Take a look at how much you're paying in taxes. Maybe you're actually making $20,000 a month and you're paying $15,000 or $5,000 a month in taxes and other expenses, retirement-related expenses, and it only leaves you $15,000. Well, that tells me that you can go buy real estate, you can start building up your cash flow income streams, and you can replace that $15,000. You probably won't need that whole $15,000 because, and here's why. Here's why. Most people don't look at their salary as take-home pay. Okay, that's kind of the way I'm relating to it in this segment. I'm talking about the $15,000 as take-home pay. $20,000 is probably closer to what that person is actually making. So the reality of it is, in their mind, they may be thinking, "Wow, I've got to replace $20,000 of income so that I can take home $15,000." At the end of the day, we only have to replace $15,000 worth of income. Because when it comes to real estate, one of the benefits that we get as real estate investors is that we're authorized, but really it's more of a requirement. The requirement the IRS has for us to take depreciation on our physical assets. And these are paper losses. These are paper losses on the asset. They're not physical losses. We're not losing any physical money, but we're losing physical value in the asset. As a result, the government allows us to take that depreciation and to write it off against the income streams that we make on our property. As a result, if you have $15,000 of income coming in from your real estate, chances are most, if not all of it, is covered by the depreciation, so you're not going to pay any taxes on the money. Or if you do, you're going to pay a very, very small percentage of tax. This is the beautiful thing with real estate. And here's the other thing. It's perpetual. It's perpetual. When you start living off of the income that comes from your real estate assets, those income streams become perpetual. Unlike that bucket of money that you save up on the original retirement plan that you were on, that bucket of money is finite. At a certain point, it stops accepting new money, and that stops when you elect to retire. And at that point, you start drawing money out of that account. You draw down at whatever rate you're supposed to draw down at, and you pray that you don't run out of money before you die. That's the problem. It's not perpetual. It has a finite lifespan, and that finite lifespan may impact your finite lifespan. Does that make sense? But with the income that comes from real estate, you can keep buying real estate and improving your income situation. Just because you're making $15,000 this month doesn't mean you're limited to making $15,000 next month. There's nothing wrong with you going out and buying more assets that allow you to earn $20,000 of income. Want to make more money? Buy some more assets. It's as simple as that. And the neat thing about real estate is that over time, when you do it correctly, you will sell off a particular asset, and the proceeds that come from the sale of that particular asset is enough money for you to replace that one asset with two assets. Wow, that's the doubling effect of money right there. Did you hear it? Did you hear it in my voice? The doubling effect of money. You can get the benefit of real estate retirement, but the way you have to do it is you have to change the map that you're following, and the only way to properly change the map that you're following is to become a member of Lifestyles Unlimited, because we have the right roadmap. We have a roadmap that is over 32 years of age, that is time-tested and is proven to work in every different situation. I don't care whether you're starting with a little bit of money or you're starting with a lot of money. I don't care if you're trying to destroy a six-figure income or a five-figure income. We have members of Lifestyles Unlimited that are trying to replace, now get this, a seven-figure income. And you know what they're doing? They're crushing it. They're crushing it because it's just a matter of semantics. It's just a matter of perspective. When you have the right map in front of you, that map is going to take you to the places you need to go. You want to get the right map? Go to lifestylesunlimited.com. Sign up for our free workshop. Let's put that map in your hand and let's get you going.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the host, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.